Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. So, uh, as of recently, we have received a new archetype that has debuted in the OCG. This is going to appear in our next main booster set, which is like Legacy of Destruction. And the archetype is based around this monster right here called Trident Dragon. For people who are unfamiliar, Trident Dragon debuted in Raging Battle, which is the fourth booster set of the 5Ds era, and it was our first level 10 synchro monster. When Trident Dragon got released, its use was very limited because its synchro materials were very specific. However, over the years, we did end up receiving strategies that did warrant the use for Trident Dragon. Dragonities and Dragon Rulers are like two prime example of these. Heretic Dragons are another example of this, like later on in the years. And now Konami pretty much dedicated a full entire archetype to this old synchro monster. And this pretty much just goes to show you that when it comes to this game, like there is very infinite potential and creativity on what Konami can give us as far as themes and monsters go. We've already seen that in the past with many archetypes, like Thunder Dragons being like the perfect example that I'm gonna keep using for that. So what we have right here are two more synchro monsters. We have two spell cards and three monsters. Uh, so as far as we can tell, we're probably not going to get any more monsters because these three monsters are based on the Chinese style game called Mahjong. And in the Mahjong game, you pretty much have to file a suite, and a suite involves like three of the different cards. Three different tiles rather. So I'm going to read all these cards, their effects, and then I'll going into their playstyle. And after I showcase everything, I'm going to explain a small trick that I haven't seen other players or other duelists explain when it comes to this archetype. Because this archetype has immense potential that is probably not seen in the common eye. And I'll get to that explanation later on. So, the three monsters are Chandra, Pydra, and Fadra. So they all have an effect, a quick effect to synchro summon, but they also all have one effect whenever they're normal or special summon, with the exception of Chandra, which is during the battle phase. So so basically, I'm going to explain Chandra first, and then I'll explain all the other cards. So Chandra's effect is if you control a fire dragon monster, take note. This is going to be very important and crucial to this strategy. You can special summon this card from your hand. At the start of the damage step, if a monster battles, you can special summon one level 4 or lower fire monster from your deck except Chandra. So essentially, what this means is you have a monster that can just tutor out another fire dragon monster, but it has to be at the start of the damage step. Uh, you're going to see why this is relevant and important very soon. So now we're going to talk about Fadra. Fadra upon normal special summon or in the damage step, you can special summon a level 4 or lower fire dragon from your graveyard. Pydra, upon normal or special summon, can add you a Bright Fleet spell or trap to your hand. The Bright Fleet cards are these two cards right here, the Overflowing Manor and the Opening. Uh, Also, it has the effect that you take no battle damage involving your fire dragons. Fadra makes it so your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, which is a very, very big deal. Now that we read all the main deck monsters, let's read the synchros real quick. Biden Dragon. You can Tiger a Fire Dragon monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except dragon monsters. If 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Then you can destroy one spell and trap on the field. You can only use this effect once per duel. Let's read Transcendent Dragon. If this card is synchro summon, you can change all monsters to attack position. Your opponent's monsters must attack. If 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Then you can destroy one card on the field. You can only use this effect of Transcend Dragon once per duel. Now let's give a very thorough explanation. So these two have a once per duel effect to special summon themselves from the graveyard. The reason that is once per duel is because it does not banish them when they leave the field. It has no other restrictions other than it is reliant on the battle phase. And the way Konami wants you to play this deck is they want you to end the turn the moment you are doing all these battle phase tricks with these monsters. If we go back to Trident Dragon basically can attack 3 times and requires destroying 2 other cards. And essentially, what Konami wants you to do is they want you to end the board by summoning Trident Dragon and just using its effect to like swing for a lot of damage. And the way you're going to be doing that is by using all these monsters in between. The reason the 3 attacks are relevant for Bident and Transcend is because the Trident can attack 3 times, meaning that by the time you end up attacking with Dragon, you already have the condition for both these monsters. Adding to that, you also have 2 effects that are reliant on the damage step, meaning that they kind of think that you're going to be attacking multiple times with all these monsters in order to fulfill this condition. So now that we read all the main deck monsters, let's read the spell and traps. Well, the spells rather. Brightly Opening can add you a fire dragon monster from your deck to your hand, and it is a quick play spell, so you can dodge, Troll, and Lockbird. The reason this is a quick play spell is not because of that effect, it's because of the second effect. If this card was activated like in the battle phase, you can apply both effects in sequence, and the second effect is you can special summon one fire dragon monster from your hand. Take note that it does not have a level restriction. You can special summon any fire dragon monster. Let's read the manner. Fire dragon monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects during the main phase. During your main phase, you can add one of the Bestowed Dragons and then discard one card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Take note that the Pydra can tutor you out into these 2 cards. So essentially what you have here is a way of like cycling advantage within your monsters by using like a few of their spells or use a few of their monsters like outright. Now that you know about these 3 monsters, I'm going to like explain like what Konami wants you to do with them, because one of them is a tuner, and all of them have the effect to synchro summon in the battle phase. So essentially, what they kind of want you to do is they want you to like swing into the battle phase like with one of them. In Chandra's case, you're going to Chandra effect to summon fight Fadra. Fadra will bring back like the Chandra itself. Then you can synchro these two into the Bident. The Bident can bring back the Fadra or the Chandra or the Pydra. You're going to use their effects again to synchro into the Transcend Dragon because you probably attacked more than once that turn. You're going to use Bident effect from the graveyard, and then you can bring this back. Take note that Bident Dragon is a tuner itself, so you can just like start tutoring other monsters or just summoning other monsters. Uh, and then after this threat resolves, like you pretty much should end up with having both synchros on the board. If you have more ways to just keep summoning, you can end up on Trident Dragon. Trident Dragon can declare its effect, pop multiple of your monsters, and then attack 3 times, and just you're outright just winning the duel like by doing that. Now let's talk about a few tricks that involve the fleet manner. Take note, this makes all fire dragon monsters unaffected by opponent's activated effects in main phase 1. So you can essentially do really cool stuff like summoning Black Rose Dragon and just nuke your entire board, your opponent's entire board. And with cards that are not floodgates, they cannot get rid of this. Other things you can do is like someone like the Salamander, for example. You can have other monsters that you can summon that are pretty much unaffected. Like for example, you can summon the Burning Dragon, and the Burning Dragon can pop your opponent's spell and traps. That's like one example. You can also summon stuff like Blaster, the Dragon Ruler. You can summon stuff like Tyrant Dragon, uh, Tyrant Dragon, uh, and yeah, there's just a lot of cards that you can just tutor, just by using this effect. So now that I explained like all these dragons, let's talk about targets for this card. Because this card can add any fire dragon, it does not have to be these three. As long as they're level 4 or lower. So essentially something you can do is you summon the Pydra. Pydra can add you the opening. And then what you can essentially do is during the battle phase, you trigger the opening, you add any fire dragon, and then you special summon it. And another good example of a fire dragon you can summon is like the Chandra, and then declare the attack with Chandra. Chandra will make it so you can summon Fadra, and Fadra can just bring back the Chandra, and you have all 3 dragons, which means you have the rotation for these cards. Uh, but there is other fire dragons that you can add and summon with the opening. Like a really good one would be like the Horus Black Flame Dragon level 4. And essentially, if you attack with this and you resolve its effect, you can then summon for the level 6, and so on and so forth. Uh, the Rapiers is pretty cool because if you have a Worm monster in your graveyard, you can essentially just use the Rapiers to special summon another extra copy of itself. If you summon Dragonic Guard and you start rotating between like your other Bestowed Dragons, this will gain a counter for each monster summoned, and then you essentially can summon another dragon monster later in the turn by sending this face up card and just using the counters it had for the special summon. You're probably looking at the screen right now and you're seeing there's a lot of non-fire dragon monsters that I'm showing right now. And the reason I'm showing all of these is because of one fire dragon monster that I haven't shown yet, that I think pretty much dictates the almost infinite potential in this archetype. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to figure it out. 3, 2, 1. If you haven't figured it out by now, the card that I'm talking about is this monster right here, which is Masked Dragon. Masked Dragon is a very fairly old card. Essentially, what Masked Dragon does is, if it's destroyed by battle, you can special summon one Dragon type monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck. So the reason that's important is because Chandra has 1500 attack. So essentially, what you can end up doing is you can use Pydra. With Pydra, you add the opening. During the same battle phase, you're going to do openings effect to add Masked Dragon, and then you're going to add, summon the same Masked Dragon. And with the Masked Dragon itself, you're going to crash into whatever monster your opponent has, as long as it's higher than it. And with Masked Dragon itself, you can special summon the Chandra. If you attack with the Pydra, you can essentially trigger the Chandra's effect to special summon like another Masked Dragon from your deck. Or another thing you can do is use the Fadra, and Fadra bring back the Masked Dragon, and you can just like start doing a lot of tricks with your opponent. Take note, if you do use Fadra's effect and bring back something, Fadra makes it so your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, meaning that you cannot keep crashing your Masked Dragon. However, if you do have more copies of Masked Dragon in your deck, you can just summon another one with Chandra. Chandra, use the Masked Dragon, crash itself, and then with the Masked Dragon, just summon the Fadra, and the Fadra reborn it, and then you have essentially like your entire synchro line with all your Transcend Dragons. However, there are other really cool things you can do with Masked Dragon that essentially just like gives you more and more like opportunities with this deck. Uh, One example is you can special summon Destrudo, the Lost Dragon's Frisian, and since Destrudo has less than 1500 attack, you can special summon with the Masked Dragon. However, Destrudo is a tuner, meaning that you can use Fadra or Chandra or Pydra's effect to synchro summon using the Destrudo. You cannot, in Chandra's case, Chandra is a tuner, so you cannot use Chandra, but you can use Pydra and Fadra to synchro away with the Destrudo. And this will make it so you can summon either Trident Dragon or the Transcended Dragon. Take note, you are not locked into dragons while doing this, so you can essentially summon other cards like Barrel on the Floor or Sword Soul Supreme, just to give you a few examples. So, Destroyer is a really cool one. Another really cool monster you can summon from your deck would be like Chamber Dragon Maid, and just add Dragon Maid cards. You can special summon Hibernation Dragon, and this will grab you one of your dragons from your graveyard back to your hand. So essentially, you're getting follow up. You can special summon the Checksum Dragon, and Checksum Dragon is level 6, so you can synchro into 10 using the Chandra. You can special summon. You can special summon this card right here, Omni Dragon Brotar. And with Omni Dragon Brotar, you can either target the Brotar itself or target one of your fire dragons. And if you target one of your fire dragons, you can just grab like another bestowed dragon, or just grab like all any other fire dragon that you can use for like the later turns. Uh, one other thing you can do is with this you can grab like one of your Bystials, like for example Magnamut and Druisworm, or like Boldrake. And if your opponent still controls a monster, these are quick effects, so you can special summon them and like have Magnamut's effect for later, to add a dragon during the end phase. You can use Chandra to synchro away with the Magnamut and just summon like the level 10s. Like we stated earlier, one dragon that you can summon is like Dispater. And essentially, with Dispater, you can just like resummon like something you banished for your Bestial. Just to give you one example, and then like just keep picking apart your opponent's board that way, and just keep generating more and more card advantage. You can special summon Mahama because he does have zero attack and it is a level 5 tuner, so this enables level 8 synchro plays. You can special summon Grand Tusk Dragon, and Grand Tusk Dragon can pop 2 cards, and all of this is happening during the end of the damage step, which is a very very big deal because not many cards can stop you at the end of the damage step. And essentially, this card right here makes it so your opponent cannot activate cards during the battle phase. So if this card ends up being summoned while you're doing all these battle phase tricks, like your opponent cannot respond to any of these effects that are happening. Like, I think I pretty much explained a lot of them. You can summon Absol. You can like use Absol and synchro Absol and Chandra into like Psychic and Punisher, and you are losing life points because you are crashing your monsters into your opponent, meaning that Psychic and Punisher will receive just a lot of attack. Well, it won't receive a lot of attack because we're no longer at the start of the battle phase, but it will be unaffected by your opponent's cards, and your opponent has very little to do just to respond to Psychic and Punisher. So essentially, like the potential behind Mass Dragon itself is almost infinite, and just having multiple cards that can tutor into the Mass Dragon and can extend into using their Mass Dragon pretty much just gives you a lot of opportunities to be super creative with like the strategy in itself. And I think that's like something that should not be overlooked. In the past, we've had battle phase archetypes that have not been successful. For example, War Rocks and Tenji. But we had other examples of archetypes that do revolve in the battle phase that ended up being actually successful, like Sky Striker, Grand Maju, and Dinosaur. Uh, Unchained is another really good example if you want to use Unchained as an example. Fire Kings is another deck that is pretty much very, very aggro because it does have a lot of battle phase tricks. So, with that being like an option, or that being like being considered, I think the Bestowed Dragons, or like the Mahjong Dragons, have a very very strong chance in the metagame. I think like once this set is released, people are going to be very very creative with this strategy. I can see them like actually doing something very respectable in the format, as long as you are paying really good attention of like the other strategies. And in 2024, when we receive Legacy of Destruction for the TCG, our format will probably be slightly more different than what it is currently right now, meaning that there could be an opening position for this archetype like more in the future. But that's it from me. I hope you found this video informative and to your understanding. I hope you found this like very creative. I kind of mainly wanted to talk about Masked Dragon because uh, out of every single like list that I've seen involving like the three Bestowed Dragons, I haven't seen people like talk about Masked Dragon enough or even at all. And I feel like the potential behind this card in this actual archetype gives you a lot to work with. But yeah, until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.